They say history doesn't repeat itself, but sometimes it rhymes with violence. Years ago, the octagon was split between two philosophies: discipline versus chaos, humility versus bravado, the mountain versus the spotlight. It was Khabib versus McGregor, and the earth trembled. But today, a strange sense of déjà vu creeps back into the cage. Two new warriors stand at the edge of greatness. On one side, a calm storm named Islam Makhachev, born of the mountains and bred for dominance. On the other, a ruthless matador named Ilia Topuria, a showman baptized in blood and ambition. And once again, the universe feels like it's about to divide in two. Islam doesn't chase fame. He doesn't need noise. His fists speak in volumes. His grappling whispers fate. For years, he walked behind Khabib as the silent heir to a legacy forged by war and wisdom. He wasn't meant to be just another fighter. He was the executioner in Father's plan, a vision etched into the soul of Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. Khabib would conquer, and then Islam would reign. And that's exactly what happened. Only it turned out better than anyone expected. Islam didn't just inherit the throne, he reshaped it. He became a new version of the Dagestani archetype, just as unshakable, but far more dangerous on his feet. When Islam took the belt, it wasn't against a fading name or a rising prospect. It was Charles Oliveira, the boogeyman of the division, a monster who had annihilated the elite. Yet Islam walked into the fire and dismantled him with clinical detachment. Then he did it again against the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. Not once, but twice. He didn't just win, he dominated. Quietly, methodically, violently. With every fight, he proved the prophecy wasn't hyperbole. He wasn't just Khabib's shadow, he was his evolution. Faster, sharper, more versatile. If Khabib was the eagle, Islam was the sharpened talon. But across the world, a new storm had been brewing. In Georgia, beneath the flag of grit and fire, rose Ilia Topuria, a man who didn't walk through divisions, he tore through them. Charisma dripping from his every word, he played the villain and the hero in one breath. He reminded fans of someone they'd seen before. The confidence, the ruthlessness, the absurd belief in self. And like McGregor before him, Ilia backed up every ounce of his trash talk with brutal, highlight reel knockouts. Only this time, the man behind the mouth wasn't a ticking time bomb. Ilia didn't drink after victories. He trained. He didn't spiral. He focused. Ilia promised to knock out Alex Volkanovski. He did it. He claimed he would do what no one else could, put Max Holloway to sleep. Done. With each performance, the line between arrogance and prophecy blurred. He wasn't just talking the talk, he was shaping reality. And unlike McGregor, Ilia wasn't just a striker. He was a tactician. He didn't get by on psychology alone. He studied, adapted, and struck with surgical efficiency. This wasn't the second coming of a chaos merchant. This was McGregor's ghost, refined, disciplined, and somehow even more lethal. So now we ask, are we watching a sequel or something darker? On one side, the second son of Dagestan, hardened by faith, shaped by lineage, carrying the mantle of Khabib, but wielding it with a twist of venom. On the other, a matador from Georgia who dances with destiny like it's his birthright. Their stories are wildly different, yet eerily familiar. Fans, pundits, even fighters began to feel it. This collision was more than just a super fight. It was legacy versus revolution. And if fate aligned, the echoes of Khabib versus McGregor would rise again, only this time bigger, colder, more calculated. But here's what makes this war even more volatile. Neither man flinches. Islam doesn't bite on provocations. He doesn't bark. But when he does respond, it's with a steel edge that cuts deeper than any insult. After Ilia fired shots on social media, Islam didn't explode. He promised. Promised that if the Georgian star crossed paths with him, there would be consequences. Not in press conferences, not in tweets, in the cage. Quiet promises from Dagestan tend to echo louder than any microphone ever could. Ilia, meanwhile, kept escalating. The words got bolder, the jabs sharper. He called out Islam relentlessly, not just as a challenger, but as a threat. I can put him in his place, and he said, I'm better everywhere. And what made people stop and listen wasn't the volume, it was the truth in his tone. He believed it, genuinely, deeply. To him, Islam wasn't a mountain to fear, but a wall to break. And Ilia had already shown the world what he does to walls. He breaks them down with a grin. You see, Ilia isn't driven by the spotlight. That's just a byproduct. He's powered by something more dangerous. Legacy. He wants his name in the history books, right next to Aldo, McGregor, and Volkanovski. And every time he promises violence, he delivers it with haunting precision. His power is real. His hands speak the language of knockouts fluently. And when he stares into the eyes of champions, he doesn't see legends, he sees targets. As if they're already dead, and he's just walking over to sign the paperwork. But make no mistake, Islam isn't an obstacle easily moved. Fighters fear him not just because of what he does, but how easily he does it. There's no panic, no wasted motion. He fights like a man who's already seen the ending and knows it ends with his hand raised. His wrestling is inescapable, his striking underrated, and his timing suffocating. He doesn't just beat you, he drowns your hope in a sea of inevitability. And if Ilia really wants to bring chaos into that cage, he better come ready for war. Because Islam isn't just defending a belt, he's defending an entire legacy, one forged in the fires of Dagestan and polished into a blade sharp enough to cut through anyone bold enough to step forward. The scariest part about Islam isn't what he says, it's how little he needs to say. He's not chasing a headline, he's chasing domination. Every fight is another chapter in the story that started in the dirt fields of Dagestan, under the brutal eye of Abdulmanap. This wasn't just sport, it was a rite of passage, a sacred journey. Islam absorbed every lesson, every loss, every victory like a machine programmed for perfection. And now he doesn't just win fights, he ends questions. Doubters come in with pride and leave with silence. Islam dismantles hype trains with the calm of a man flipping a light switch. Still, Ilia isn't like the others. He doesn't come with doubt. He carries certainty like a weapon. While others walk around Islam, Ilia walks straight through his name, as if it were smoke. He doesn't just want to fight the best, he wants to erase them. In his mind, he is the chosen one, the future, the inevitable. He believes he was born to do this, to not just win, but to dominate the game and leave legends in his wake. You can hear it in his voice, feel it in his walk. It's not arrogance, it's prophecy. Ilia's rise hasn't been a fluke. His path has been painted in blood and brilliance. He ran through the featherweight division like a force of nature, ending careers and silencing arenas. When people said Volkanovski was too tough, too experienced, Ilia slept him. When they claimed Holloway couldn't be dropped, Ilia buried him. And every time he did the impossible, he returned to the gym like a man who hadn't done enough. That's what makes him terrifying. He celebrates in silence and trains in obsession. He's not here to make noise. He's here to make history. Now imagine those two ideologies, Dagestani calculation and Georgian fury, colliding at full speed. That's not a fight. That's an earthquake, a reawakening. One built in shadows, one forged in fire. But as explosive as that sounds, the reality is colder, more surgical. This is no bar brawl. It's two grandmasters sitting across from each other at the bloodiest chessboard the UFC has ever seen. And both are convinced they've already won. Topuria sees openings in Islam's game. He studies the habits, the posture, the setups. He doesn't fear the wrestling. He mocks it. He believes he can outthink, outstrike, and outlast the Dagestani mauler. And that belief, whether it's real or delusional, is fuel. Ilia fights like destiny owes him something, and he's coming to collect. He carries himself like a man who's already seen his statue built, with a belt around his waist and the crowd chanting his name. The danger? He just might be right. Meanwhile, Islam watches from a higher altitude. He sees Ilia's rise, he hears the noise. But it doesn't faze him. He's walked through louder storms. He's felt heavier pressure, and he's crushed better strikers. Oliveira, Volkanovski, Poirier. Each came with tools, each left with broken blueprints. Islam didn't just defeat them, he exposed them. The way he suffocated Dustin, the way he outboxed Volk, It wasn't supposed to happen. Yet it did, over and over again, with cold precision. But the thing is, this isn't just a one-on-one battle. It's the rebirth of an ancient conflict. The Caucasus, Georgia versus Dagestan. Two proud cultures, rich with history, pride, and warriors who don't bend the knee. You can't fake that kind of rivalry. You can't manufacture it in press conferences. This is tribal, deep, raw. It stretches beyond octagons and belt rankings. It's about who defines the future of the sport. And in that arena, there can be no draw. One must rise, the other must fall. For the Dagestanis, Islam is the torchbearer, the one who was chosen to fulfill the mission left behind by Abdulmanap and extended by Khabib. He's not just fighting for gold, he's fighting to preserve a dynasty, to keep the mountain high, to prove that humility, discipline, and complete control are still the path to greatness. For him, Ilia isn't just a challenge. He's a threat to everything they've built, and threats must be neutralized, quickly, completely, and without hesitation. But Ilia, he sees himself as the revolution, the storm that topples empires. He looks at Islam like a relic. Powerful, yes, but outdated. He believes the future wears his colors, speaks his language, and strikes with his hands. He doesn't fear wrestling. He laughs at it. He wants the pressure. He wants to be dragged into deep waters so he can prove he breathes just fine underwater. He's not running from Islam's strength. He's sprinting toward it. Because if he can survive it, he knows he'll break him. And yet, there's a strange calm before the collision. Like the earth knows what's coming. The fans feel it. The fighters sense it. The UFC hasn't seen tension like this since Khabib versus McGregor. But this time, it's even more dangerous. Because both of these men are in their prime. Both are undefeated in their spirits. And both believe, truly believe, that the other doesn't stand a chance. That kind of collision doesn't end with a handshake. It ends with legacy written in scars, blood on the canvas, and a crowd too stunned to speak. The cage is more than steel and chain. It's a crucible, a truth chamber, a place where mythology dies and reality roars to life. When Islam steps inside, he doesn't carry fear. He carries the weight of legacy. The name Nurmagomedov hangs heavy in the air, not as a burden, but as armor. For years, fans asked if someone could surpass Khabib. Islam didn't answer with words, he answered with dominance. Every round, every takedown, every submission was a declaration. He is not just the next chapter. He is the climax of the story Dagestan started. Ilia enters the cage like a flamethrower in human skin. He doesn't pace, he stalks. His confidence is unnerving, his composure unshakable. He stares at his opponents like he's already buried them in his mind. That mental warfare? It's not for show, it's fuel. When Ilia speaks, people listen. When he fights, people believe. There's a gravity to him, an aura that screams, "I was made for this." And the scariest thing? He believes he hasn't even shown the world his final form. But what happens when unstoppable confidence meets immovable will? What happens when a hurricane hits a mountain? Islam doesn't get rattled. His calm is his blade. While Ilia looks to ignite chaos, Islam looks to snuff it out before it even sparks. Their clash isn't just about physical ability, it's about psychological warfare. One man wants to lure you into a firefight. The other wants to drag you into a slow, silent grave. Both are dangerous, both are deadly, and only one walks out untouched. There's a reason fans across the globe are holding their breath. This isn't just another title fight. This is a cultural collision, an ideological explosion. East versus West, submission versus knockout, faith versus fury. Both men have scorched everything in their path, and now fate demands they test their fire against each other. It's a script too perfect to ignore, crafted by destiny, sharpened by war. You don't need to sell this fight. It sells itself with every word Ilia spits and every stare Islam delivers. Some say Ilia's pressure will break Islam, that the Georgian madman has the speed, the hands, and the fearlessness to do what no one has done before. Others say Islam's grip, literal and metaphorical, is unbreakable. That once he gets a hold of you, it's only a matter of time before the lights dim and the world fades. Each camp has its prophets. Each fan base believes their warrior is divine. But inside that cage, there are no prophecies, only pain, precision, and pure willpower. Topuria claims he's better everywhere. Boxing, kickboxing, even chess. He dares Islam to meet him at any point on the battlefield. But words are only weapons if they land. And Islam doesn't flinch. He hears the noise, filters it through silence, and trains harder. Where Ilia posts clips and call-outs, Islam drills, spars, studies. He isn't trying to win the crowd. He's preparing to win the war. Every second, every breath, every move is a step closer to dominance. There's something poetic about this rivalry, a spiritual successor to Khabib versus McGregor, but upgraded, cleaner, sharper. Both men more complete, more dangerous, more composed. The past gave us legends. The present is giving us monsters. And unlike the chaos of 2018, this feels more primal, less about hatred, more about conquest. This is legacy at stake, not just belts. This is about who defines the era, who rules the new empire, and who etches their names so deep in history that no one dares forget it. They may come from opposite worlds, but they share one terrifying trait: inevitability. When Islam steps into the cage, his victories feel like clockwork. When Ilia steps in, violence feels like prophecy. One drowns you in control, the other shocks you into unconsciousness. Both know the truth. One mistake is all it takes, and yet neither man has made that mistake. Not yet, not ever. Until now, destiny has treated them both like chosen sons. But the cage doesn't care about chosen ones. It only crowns survivors. If Ilia moves up and earns the shot, if Islam clears out his division again, if the stars align, this fight won't just be a main event, it will be a moment in history. The kind people talk about decades from now, like Khabib McGregor or Silva Sonnen. It will be the night where one kingdom falls and another rises, where talk becomes truth and legends are either born or broken. Fans won't just be watching a fight, they'll be witnessing the rebirth of war. And in that moment, all the noise will fade. Only the truth will remain, and so we wait. We wait for the call-out that sticks, the contract that seals it, the stare down that shatters silence. Because deep down, we know what's coming. Something inevitable, something seismic. Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev are on a collision course written by gods and signed in blood. And when they finally meet, when chaos slams into control, it won't be about who's louder or faster. It'll be about who refuses to break, who refuses to fall, and who's ready to carve their name into the bones of history forever.